Today on Bench Briefs, we're looking at a significant decision from the Federal Court of Appeal in the case of Musani v. Canada, Attorney General, a 2026 ruling that touches on the fundamental rights protected by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. At its heart, this case challenges how administrative decisions can impact an individual's liberty and what legal tools are available to question those decisions. So, what happened here? Musani was involved in a legal battle with a Canadian administrative tribunal whose decision had serious consequences for him, consequences that affected his liberty interests. Without getting into all the technicalities just yet, this tribunal made a ruling that Musani believed infringed on his constitutional rights, specifically those guaranteed under Section 7 of the Charter. Section 7 protects life, liberty, and security of the person, and it's one of the most important safeguards in Canadian law when it comes to individual freedoms. Musani sought judicial review of the tribunal's decision. In simple terms, he asked a court to look over the tribunal's ruling to see if it was lawful. More specifically, he applied for certiorari, which is a type of court order that can quash or nullify a decision made by a lower authority if it's found to be unlawful or unfair. The key question was whether this was the right path for Musani to challenge the tribunal's decision, and whether the tribunal had respected his rights throughout their process. Digging into the facts a bit more, the tribunal's decision wasn't just a routine administrative ruling. It had a direct impact on Musani's liberty interests, meaning the decision could affect his freedom or personal security. The exact nature of the tribunal's findings and the process it followed were critical because Musani claimed that the tribunal's approach violated his charter rights. He argued that the tribunal failed to provide adequate procedural fairness, which includes things like giving him a fair chance to present his case, and that the decision itself improperly infringed on his protected rights. This raised several important legal issues for the Federal Court of Appeal to consider. First, did the tribunal's decision actually violate Musani's Section 7 rights? This meant the court had to assess whether the tribunal's actions deprived Musani of his life, liberty, or security of the person in a way that was not in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice. Second, was judicial review by certiorari the appropriate remedy in this situation? In other words, could the court properly step in and overturn the tribunal's decision through this particular legal tool? And third, what standards should apply when reviewing the tribunal's decision-making process? This involved questions about how much deference the court should give to the tribunal's expertise and whether the procedures followed met the requirements of procedural fairness. The court's analysis in Musani v. Canada is a great example of how administrative law and constitutional law intersect. Administrative tribunals are designed to handle specialized matters efficiently, but when their decisions affect fundamental rights like liberty, courts must carefully balance respect for the tribunal's role with the need to protect constitutional guarantees. Why does this case matter beyond just this one individual? Well, it highlights the ongoing tension in Canadian law between administrative decision-making and constitutional rights protection. It reminds us that even decisions made outside traditional courts by administrative bodies can have profound effects on people's lives and freedoms. The decision also clarifies the proper role of judicial review in these contexts, ensuring that there is a legal avenue to challenge decisions that may overstep constitutional boundaries. Moreover, Musani v. Canada reinforces the importance of procedural fairness, especially when liberty interests are at stake. It sends a message to administrative tribunals that their processes must be fair and just, and that courts will scrutinize their decisions when fundamental rights are implicated. This helps maintain public confidence in the fairness of administrative justice and ensures that constitutional protections are meaningful in practice. In short, this case is a key reminder that the Charter's protections extend into all areas of decision-making that affect individuals' core rights, and that judicial review remains a vital mechanism to hold administrative bodies accountable. It's a fascinating example of how Canadian courts continue to shape the balance between efficient administration and robust rights protections. Thanks for listening to this episode of Bench Briefs. Be sure to join us next time for another dive into important Canadian legal decisions. Until then, take care.